Hey everyone, we're here with Gardening Tips Live. I'm Amy Hahn, and I'm a Knox County Master Gardener, and I'm joined by my friends and fellow Master Gardeners, Marco Emery and Lee Cheek. And we're going to get this posted where everyone can see it, hopefully really soon. I've got to refresh my page. We're working on trying to figure out a new and better way of streaming this, but we're not doing it today. Let's see. No, I need to share the post to the Gardening Tips Show. Share and to the group. Something isn't working. Let's try that again. Share. I'm having trouble with things not working today. There it went. There it's going. Okay, and I'm going to write in click into the video, video, I can't spell today, to comment and see resources we post while we are live. Okay, then I'm gonna post that into the group. And hopefully that's going to work. Looks like it worked. And where are we? There we are. Yay. Are you guys finding us?
I just found us.
I pinned it to featured. And I'm going
Pinned
to
it to featured.
pin it to the top of featured so it stays there. And then I'm actually going to click into the video so that I can see comments also. I'm going to click into the video and hear myself say that again. Oh, we have so much fun here.
Yep.
Let's see. Let me go. I'm going to go back to the gardening tips group. I got rid of my bookmarks. I hide my bookmarks because they take up a lot of screen real estate, so that when I'm sharing pictures, it makes it hard for people to actually see the pictures.
It's like pulling a weed. You want more space for your good plants. Yeah.
Right.
For your good screens.
But I had forgotten to do the at everyone, so it helps people find this. It is fairly likely in the next couple of weeks we will start streaming the show a different way. And so I'm going to type in good morning. It's sort of our way of making sure we're all in the right place. If we all say good morning and we see each other saying good morning. So let's see. Margot, I haven't seen you say good morning yet.
He said, hi, everyone.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, you just did. Okay, awesome. Well, what is it? Have you all been watching the weather?
Have we been feeling the weather?
Have you been feeling the weather? Yes.
You got to get it out early.
I saw in my journal I was commenting about a heat dome in late June, and the heat dome is still here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I do prefer 90 to 92 to 95 to 97. It is a little better.
Well, earlier this week, they said we were going to have 101 this week, but now it's down to 97.
Yeah.
But the heat index is
Well, are you talking heat index or real temperature?
Real temperature. Yeah.
Okay, see, you must be in a slightly different area than I am because my forecast had nothing like that. Nothing near that. Yeah.
This is Knoxville. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine shows those
Knoxville
temperatures.
is going to be a little bit hotter. My daughter is here.
Oh.
And she is probably asking about the peaches that were on the counter.
Oh.
You can eat it. We're live right now, so I got them at the farmer's market at Ebenezer Farmer's Market a week or so ago, and they were the right color, but they were really hard, and they are ripe now. So I had one last night, and it was lovely. It was a white peach.
Ooh.
Yeah, I got a mixture of white and other peaches and the normal peaches.
Mhm.
But so one thing I've noticed that sort of bugs me about, the weather forecast is, they'll have the whole, okay, so they have their little mini images they show, and it'll be sun or clouds or part sun or rainy. And they'll have days where they put up this part sun, well, this cloudy with like rain, and then you dig a little more into the forecast, and they've predicted 5/100ths of an inch of rain.
Yeah.
Does that even count as rain?
Although I got about 3 inches this week.
Whoa.
Yeah. There was a storm that came through that in 10 minutes I got 3 inches.
You got the
Oh,
jackpot.
I got
Yeah.
the
yeah.
jackpot. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
only problem is when you get it that fast, most of it runs off.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, we had a storm that came through and I got a 1/2 inch.
Yeah.
So have your rain gauges out there, because you can't depend on the forecast a mile away for how much rain you're actually getting.
No.
And how much rain you actually get sort of is how you should gauge how much you water.
And there's been times when I've been at the church and we've gotten 3 inches, and I come home and it's just 10 minutes away, and
Yep.
we've gotten, an eighth of an inch.
Yeah.
You
I
know.
mean, where I am, I'm actually on one side of a ridge and the other side of my circle is on the other side of the ridge. And I really do think sometimes it rains on one side and not the other,
Yeah.
just because of the ridge.
Yeah.
Um, the what it mountains and ridges, sometimes it'll rain on one side and not the other. It's just a weather effect.
Right.
And yeah, so have your rain gauges out and sort of be aware of how much water you're getting. Most vegetables really do better when they get, um, what is it? At least an inch, and when it's up in the 90s, 2 inches of rain, the equivalent of 2 inches of rainfall a week.
Yeah.
And that is a lot of water.
And one of the things that one of the classes I took,
Mhm.
Marsha Lehman, was she had us measure our rate of watering
Uh-huh.
by using a gallon bucket and our hose and turning it on and seeing, okay, does it get to 2 inches? How many minutes or how many counts does it take to get
Mhm.
there? And so when I have
Yeah.
my water on all the way, I get an inch in a count of 10.
Right.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
So the equivalent of an inch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because for me, a count of 12 fills up a gallon.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And so you can math it out, to figure out how much that is for how much of an area.
Right.
And that's more math than I want to do this morning. It's way more than you intuitively think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we're not very good at that kind of thinking. Well, okay. So one of the things that I'm really seeing, and we're getting questions about, in the Facebook group, and I'm going to start my slideshow, is weeds. So this little puppy right here is just going wild right now. This is crabgrass, and it has a center. Crabgrass grows from a center, from a crown, where it's rooted in, and then it'll do like little arms that spread out. And so none of these are they'll be slightly anchored in with just like a little string of root, but they're not tightly anchored in. Um, But so if you find the center and you pull the center, especially if you get it while it's pretty young, they're easy to take out, and they tend to be a symptom of thin turf if they're in your turf. Now, they'll come up in vegetable gardens if crabgrass has gone to seed. But crabgrass is an annual grass, and so long as you are able to keep it from going to seed, that will help it a lot. And if you get it while it's young, it sort of has a fairly thick leaf. Okay, so you can see how thick that leaf is there. And then this next one is Bermuda grass. And do you see how thin the leaf is? And Bermuda grass does long single stringers called stolons, and it'll stretch out and it'll peg down where every leaf is as it grows. And it will actually grow a little bit underground. It tends not to grow too far underground, though it can survive buried. So if you accidentally bury Bermuda, it can come up from really deep being buried. It doesn't tend to plunge itself down deep. So, but Bermuda grass is a perennial. And so with it will go to seed, but you're really looking at more keeping it out of an area. It is my main lawn grass and is a fairly typical lawn grass if you're not watering. It tends to be what comes in because it's very drought tolerant. Um, it is from a grass that was imported from Africa. I actually don't know the history of crabgrass. Does anyone know that? Um,
I can look it up. I don't
yeah, if
know
you
it.
could look it up, I'd be interested. I doubt crabgrass is from North America because most of our grasses aren't.
Crabgrass is a native to Europe or Eurasia. It was
Okay.
introduced to the US in 1849. That was not a good idea by the US Patent Office as a potential forage crop. It says now it's found in virtually every crop or non-crop situation.
Yeah. And if you look up the history of a lot of our weeds, they're similar situations. They were actually brought here for a purpose and it just didn't quite work out. Uh,
Like kudzu. Yeah.
Kudzu was brought here for a dual purpose of what is it? Erosion control and animal feed. And they found out with a lot of our soils here, the way kudzu pegs down, it actually erodes under the kudzu. And our cattle here really don't like it. And so neither of the purposes really worked. Oh well. But there are a lot of weed plants that came in that way. Some came in other ways, but many of them were actually intentionally introduced. Um, and so that is a sort of an interesting thing to look at and definitely to think about. I'm going to make that bigger so it's easier for everyone to see things. Okay, this is a sort of a different category. Lee, do you want to talk about this one?
This is a native. It's a hackberry tree.
Mhm.
And I have had a plethora of them in my flower beds this year. And you need to pull them when they're by the time they get this big, or otherwise they're tough to get out. And
Yeah.
so, getting rid of them has been an important project for me.
Hmm.
And so identifying the hackberry and
Yeah.
getting it into out of my bed has been important. So identifying it is important.
There's
Yes.
there's a trait they have on their trunk or their stem when it's a sapling. It's
Mhm.
called lenticles, and they're these raised kind of line-like things that show up. They're lighter on the trunk, a lot of like dashes on the trunk, and that's a sign of a hackberry.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And if they're a little older, one of the things that I notice is when they start putting out little branchlets, they are horizontal to the ground.
Uh-huh.
they're very distinctive when they're coming out. But they are one of the native trees that's sort of a weak weed, quote, weedy tree. They're our area gets enough rainfall to be a woodland, not a grassland. And so they're part of the natural effort to turn things into a woodland and probably one of the pioneer trees.
Yeah, Mary just commented,
Mm.
she's got kudzu 3 houses away from her. And
Oh,
oh no. So she's
yeah.
praying it doesn't come her way.
Yeah. I do think my parents had some in their backyard in Mississippi, and it was very easy to control on a yard scale.
That's
You know,
good to know. That
you know,
I've got it near me too.
right. So it's pretty easy to control on a yard scale, but if you have a woody area, it's much harder to control in that kind of situation, particularly like the edge of a woodland, and it can get away from you. Yeah.
Yeah.
In a yard area, what do you do? Do you just pull it
You
or do
just,
you
yeah, you
harder?
pull it if you see it starting to come up, you pull it. And then if it's bigger than that, you cut it off at ground level. And you might have to do that repeatedly.
Yeah,
But,
I made the mistake of planting dog bane. I was told that it was
mhm,
swamp milkweed, which it was not.
right.
And I have let it take over one of my pollinator beds.
Hmm.
Now I'm thinking I need to get rid of it.
Yeah. And
Instead of
so,
root system, yeah.
my advice would be to probably cut it now,
Uh-huh.
go in with and cut it like at close to ground level.
Uh-huh.
And um, I would use occultation, which is sort of like solarization, but it's a little different, where you put a black covering over it.
Uh-huh.
And that's pretty likely to kill it,
Mm-hmm.
because this time of year it's going to be trying to grow. And if it can't grow,
Mm-hmm.
it'll expend its energy. Um, but I've had a lot of luck with occultation. With solarization, you really do have to plow the area, water it, and then put the clear plastic down. Um, but I've actually used the black landscape fabric for occultation. Some people use like the big tarps that like truckers use
Mm-hmm.
um, for occultation, and that works good too. But this would be probably the time of year to start that, if not earlier, where it's going to cook it well, and then you'll
Brian,
be able to plant something next year.
Brian is waving at you.
Yeah, Brian.
Howdy, I wanted to comment about the hackberry.
Mhm.
Very common in the South, especially in Texas right here. We got hackberry
Mhm.
coming up everywhere. That's always been considered a weak wood. It is a very weak wood. It breaks off
Yeah.
rather easily during a storm. But one thing people are said, especially by ranchers, um, some places that there are cattle and stuff like that right there, that hackberry is the only thing that will survive out there as a tree. So hackberries are frequently seen as resting places for cattle
Okay,
and
so the
stuff.
cattle won't eat them to the ground.
Nope, nope, nope. Maybe
Okay,
maybe fledge or starts, but not as a tree. Nope.
interesting.
I had a hackberry tree in my next door neighbor, and we had a nasty windstorm blowing through, and it had taken our trash cans in the back and was blowing them around in the street. We had a street right behind us. So I went outside and fighting the wind and went to pick up the trash cans, and I was standing in the middle of my backyard. I was debating, is it worth fighting this right here? Anyway, I went ahead and stepped forward, just as I stepped forward, I want to say maybe a 12 to 14-inch limb came down right behind me,
Oh my
and
gosh.
the leaves and the small branches scraped the back of my neck and my back, and I was that close. I could have been killed.
Mm,
We're glad
glad
you're
you
still here.
moved.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we had our chance, and y'all missed it.
Oh, okay. Um, this was just a shot. I saw the, what is it? I saw this bee just nestling its little head into this bean flower and just getting some of that pollen. So those bumblebees are just really important pollinators for us. And they're active. They're very active in the mornings right now, once the dew dries. Okay, so this is tomatoes. I'm sure many of you have green tomatoes, and they are staying green. Some of it's the heat. They don't ripen as fast when it's hot. Um, but you can see this is a pretty healthy plant. But you look here, this is a plant that is the same variety, started from the same seed, planted the same day. These two plants, this little scrawny plant here and this abundant plant here, were started the same day. You can see some probably early blight. You can see a little bit of early blight on this one, but not much of anything. But this is why I tell people, don't just plant one tomato plant, because every so often you'll get a dud plant, and it's just not, there's something wrong with it. Maybe it was damaged as it was growing. Maybe it's got a weird genetic mutation and it's just never going to grow right. Who knows? But that sometimes happens. And it happens with the plants that I grow out from seed, my own. And these are from the same seed packet. So I have like 6 of these. 5 of them are beautiful, and one of them is just really sad. And so let's see, Mary, her tomato plant has only one tomato, which was yummy. It did have flowers until the heat wave. Yeah, honestly have other varieties of tomatoes. I have one tomato on my deck that's called Sweet Scarlet Dwarf, and it looks beautiful. It's a small plant because it's a dwarf tomato. Had lots of flowers and not a single fruit because every flower falls off. And I've got some early girl tomatoes in a container, not 2 feet away from it, and they've produced fruit. Some varieties are much more sensitive to heat, and it's called blossom drop, and they'll drop their blossoms when it gets too hot. And so you can see this variety here. I'm going to go back to this other picture. This variety here, I've got tomatoes of different sizes. I don't have very many small ones right now, which means it hasn't been setting much fruit with the heat. But every time we have a cooler spell, it'll set more fruit. But the other plant I've got just drops its blossoms, and so they never make it. I'm hoping this fall, when it really does start to cool off, I'll get some fruit from it. But that happens. Oh, here, Lee, here's your squash plant.
Yeah.
Squash fruit.
I got a conjoined set of yellow squash
Yeah.
today that I picked. And so I thought, oh, how funny.
Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah.
And it happens every so often. It's totally safe to eat, but just one of those oddities.
Yep. One of those oddities. Yep.
And then this is a new experiment for me. Not growing cucumbers, but I'm going to save seed from these cucumbers. I've never saved cucumber seed before. I have this in a long row. Well, I guess it is a 16-foot row. with probably 9 cucumber plants. And they're all varieties that I like. And some of them I got them from a place called Experimental Farm Network. If you're interested in plant breeding or experimental cropping, they have some really cool stuff there. But this set of plants is from they call it a long cucumber Grex, which is a mixture of different varieties that have been grown together, but looking for similar characteristics. So cucumbers, they will cross freely with other cucumbers. So that's why it's important to have ones that you want. And so we'll see what comes of this, because it's pretty likely that the the plant that this one's coming from, and it's what determines the shape of this cucumber, would have been the seed parent, but you also have a pollen parent on cucumbers. So the pollen parent probably came from a different cucumber plant, which might have been a different variety. So what I get when I grow these out is not going to be exactly the same as this cucumber, but it's pretty likely to be all of the cucumbers I have planted are long cucumbers. They're all burpless, thin-skinned. So they all have these characteristics that I want. I'm saving from this particular one because its flesh is a little bit denser. It's sort of more like a pickling cucumber almost when you eat it. So it's a little bit firmer than what slicing cucumbers typically are. So I would love to have a long pickling cucumber.
Nice.
And so that's what I'm sort of playing toward. And so next year, I'll probably do the same thing, but I'll plant several seeds from this cucumber and we'll see what I get. So
I posted
seed
a
saving.
resource. I posted a resource about saving cucumber seeds,
Oh,
and
good.
AI posted something and talked about a fermentation method. Do you know anything about that?
Oh, yeah. You do that with a lot of different seeds. Let me mention something first. Okay, so this cucumber is actually bigger than I usually let them get. I generally pick my cucumbers. Okay, some of these are ending up a little curled. I'm going to stop sharing while I'm talking about this because then people can see a little bigger. Okay, this one's curled, not straight. That probably means it's incompletely pollinated. So this end was fully pollinated, but this end isn't completely pollinated. That's why they curl a lot of times. And it can be the weather impacting the bees' activity. It's pretty common later in the season, but I usually pick them at this diameter. I don't even let them get this big in diameter. This is a variety called Lime Crisp, and but this is another one, so all of them from this picking are sort of curled. This is probably one called Summer Dance, which is usually very straight. But when I pick them at this age, they don't have that jelly stuff inside them. And so they're really just crisp and nice. And I'll even make pickles out of these that aren't pickling cucumbers. Um, so for seed saving, oh, the other thing is if you pick your cucumbers early, it'll keep the plant producing better.
Yeah.
So if the plant thinks, oh, maybe I have made a mature seed, the plant tends to stop producing. So I actually expect this plant to really not produce more cucumbers while I'm letting this one grow. And I will let this one grow until it really turns yellow all over. And that'll be an indication that it's mature. And it will probably come off the stem pretty easily at that point. And so once I pick it, I will cut it open. At that point, the seeds will all be in little jelly, little all surrounded by gel, each individual seed. And so you put it in water and you let it sit for a few days and ferment. And that actually breaks down that gel. And so the gel has a chemical in it that impedes germination, slows down germination. so they won't germinate too fast. Excuse me, when they would naturally drop off the plant below it. So that would sort of keep it from germinating that season, and so it would sprout the next season. So that's you use that water method of fermentation. You can use it with cucumbers, squash, tomatoes are the ones that are usually the things you use it for. I think there are a couple other vegetables it's used.
Pumpkin.
Pumpkin, pumpkin is a kind of a squash, so yeah. So pumpkin, you can either carefully hand separate, from the stringers, or you can put all the stuff that's in the center of the pumpkin in a bucket and let it ferment a while and do it outside. It doesn't smell good, but don't let it get too hot because you don't want to cook your seed. And then the seed will actually fall out and you'll be able to pour the water off, add a little more water, pour the water and gunk off, and you'll end up with some really nice seed at the bottom. And any seeds that float are probably not not viable. They won't germinate. So it's a good way to separate out your seed without having to sort of carefully pick through things. And it also takes the ones that have the gel that acts as a retardant for sprouting. So it gets rid of that too. So it's really interesting. I like seed saving, but I haven't saved seed for everything. Okay, I'm going to go back and share again. So there's my pretty cucumber plant. And then this is another one I got. I actually was given this, though you can buy them. It's called a jujube. It's a tree or a Chinese date. And it's one of the things that it's really important before you consider planting it. You want to make sure it's the right plant for the place you're putting it in. It does get to be a tree. You can keep it pruned smaller, but it does take a lot of work to do that. And it makes suckers around it. So the one I have some suckers that are probably 8 feet away from the original tree. And when you go to pull them up, they are attached to something underground. So I'm pretty sure they're suckers and not just seedlings. But it is, the other thing to know about it is it has thorns. So if you have kids, you might not want to have this one. I do really love its fruit, which is why I planted it. Oh, there's also varieties. This is a variety that does oval fruit, and I do not know what variety it is. There are varieties that do round fruit. But this one, the fruit's about the size of a date. The alternate name for it is actually Chinese date. And they're about the size of a date and have a single seed in the middle. And as it matures, it'll get brown splotches on it. And I like it at about the stage where it's about half brown splotches. And at that stage, you can eat the skin of it, no problem. It's crisp like a pear apple and has a very similar flavor. And it's just a really pleasant fruit to eat. And I've actually made a pear butter-ish thing out of it. And then if you leave it out on the counter, they dry. So this is some dried jujube from last year. And inside of them, I just ate one a minute ago, there's a little single seed. So like a date has, but it's actually a smaller seed.
Can you share your screen?
Oh,
I mean, can you not share your screen
can I not share my screen?
So,
Okay. Yeah, I can. Okay, let me, come on. Where is that button that I need to be? Okay, so this is the jujube fruit when it's dried. And so inside of it, when you eat it, it's almost a little bit marshmallowy when it's dried. When it's fresh, it's crisp. And then this is the seed from one that I just ate a minute ago. So it's got a seed in there. But they're an interesting thing. they actually just dried on the counter. I didn't have to do anything special to them.
I
So
bet they're a
that's sort of
great source of fiber.
yeah, and they are tasty, but beware of where you plant them. You don't want them where you'll be brushing up against them because they have thorns. And you don't want you want them probably in a place where you can mow around them because they do put up suckers. And so it'll be easier to take care of the suckers if you can just mow them down in your normal course of lawn maintenance.
How big is your jujube bush?
Um, it is more like a tree, and it is probably 10 feet tall. It's a couple feet short of my red bud, and I have cut it back.
Do you have to use a ladder to get to the fruit?
Um, I've just sort of pulled it down. It's pretty flexible. And I planted it too close to my red bud. So my red bud's here, here, and the jujube's like here. So it's got this single branch that comes up about this far, on my red bud. And I think what I might do is I might kill the mother plant and separate off one or two of the suckers and let them grow because they're further out from the red bud. But when I planted it where I put it, I did not envision my red bud getting so. I mean, my red bud is a beautiful, just rounded shade tree shape, and it's just gotten bigger. And I didn't envision it when I planted the jujube that close. I was like, oh, there's plenty of room between these, and there wasn't. So, and that happens with landscapes. You put things in, and even though I know, and I have read one of the biggest mistakes that people do is not to consider the mature size of plants they put in. I still have a hard time actually doing it, and really envisioning it, and, maybe even needing to take a tape measure out and measure. Brian,
Oh,
I
Brian.
think Brian dozed off. You're muted.
Maybe he was checking his phone.
Yeah, I don't know. No, because he's on his phone. I'm
That's
pretty
right.
sure. Yeah, but let's see. Let me ask him to unmute. Unmute. Then he'll get a pop-up that he can hit.
All right.
Okay, you're back with us.
Yep.
Yep. So, it is important to consider the right plant in the right place.
Yes.
Size is very important. Also need for sun and, just factors. If something has thorns, you don't want it right close to your walkway. I'm sure people talk about that with roses, which is
Mm-hmm.
one of Brian's specialties. Yep. That you really don't want to put it right next to a pathway, at least a pathway that you want your friends to walk down.
Just your enemies.
Yeah, just your enemies. Yeah. And beware. Some people plant like climbing rose bushes on their mailboxes, and that's not very nice to the mailman.
Oh my.
No.
Though there is a
I
thornless rose, right?
I've had a number of people showing or sharing really gorgeous landscaping around their mailbox,
Mm-hmm.
and I warned them that it's legal for the mail carriers to carry wasp spray and anything else they need to protect themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure they've had incidences where they've opened up the mailbox and there's hornets in there.
Oh my gosh.
Inside, yep,
Yep.
yep.
Yeah. And that can be really dangerous to them. So I understand that.
Okay. And I've had invasion of earwigs in my mailbox.
Oh no.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, we've had problems with them sometimes. We're not having as much of an issue now, but I know why. We were having major issues with ants coming in, and we'd done, the treatments we usually do, which are pretty benign. And then I ordered a spinosad-based ant barrier that you sprinkle around. And you know what? I used it. I bought one bag. I used part of it last year, like a quarter of it last year. I used a quarter of it this year, and it's been enough
Good.
to, set back, but it also kills earwigs. And so my daughter's not talking about earwigs coming into the downstairs anymore. We don't
Oh,
usually see them upstairs unless sometimes I bring them in accidentally on basil plants and stuff like that. When I cut basil, that they'll be in, between the leaves. And so sometimes I'll accidentally bring them in. Oh, another thing to mention. So this is, a lot of people are harvesting stuff. And so we're getting reports of like critters getting to tomatoes and pepper, well, mostly tomatoes. And so this is the stage that I pick my tomatoes. So it's just starting to turn. So this is like I think they call this early breaker stage. And then this is a yellow tomatoes. Well, that must not be a yellow, one of the yellow ones. So this is another one. And so this is the stage I pick them. And I almost never have bird damage to them.
Well, the critters that would eat my tomatoes were my dogs.
Well, that's a whole different issue.
I've we've had a lot of people talking about their tomato plants here in the last week or
Yeah.
so. In fact, was it several nights ago? That was my topic for
Mhm.
the well compost. How apart from the search tool on our homepage, how can people find these articles?
Okay, so if you're looking for information about, tomato problems, if you do a search in any of the major search engines and put in common tomato problem and the word extension or the word edu, you will get different resources. Should I go ahead and share my screen and actually run through that?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Let me just go to, I want to just go to the Google page. There we are. I use Google personally, but I think the other search engines will also work. Okay, and that's not what I want to see. I wasn't looking that up either. So tomato, well, I got to hit my home keys. Tomato problems, and then I tend to use extension. Other
Yes.
people use edu. Okay, so I'm going to look at these, and so this is University of Maryland. That's not too bad. I look for ones that are close to me. So this is Colorado State. That's too far away. Oh, North Carolina. That's the one I want to look
Yep.
at because they're really
Yep.
close. Penn State is further north. They do have slightly different problems. So I will go there.
Clemson is good.
Yeah, Clemson is good. So this is North Carolina State. And so as you scroll down, nope, that's not scroll down. You have to click into other things. Okay, so they don't just have a single
Um, I will use.
reference.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will tell them on their keywords
Mhm.
doing a search right along with what you're talking about. But I recommend saying tomato leaves turning black or curling or something like that. Just a
Okay.
few keywords that helps to narrow down their search.
Okay. let's go yellow tomato leaves. Yellow spots, right on tomato leaves. And I'm going to take out the word problems. Okay, and we still have Maryland again. And then we have garden know-how. Then
Oh,
we have
please.
cooperative extension. Let's see what they're saying. Okay,
Yeah.
so this one's growing in a greenhouse, so that is a little bit different an issue. So you have to look at the details. That's not a good reference for this. Minnesota is a bit far away. Let's see, there's cooperative extension. So I have too many words. Probably. Let's see. The other thing I will do to help find things is I'll look at images. So let's look at this one from Maryland. And I can go visit that website. And I am seeing some of this on my tomatoes. So you see the little sort of almost bullseye look to the how it's starting.
Yep.
So that's Septoria leaf spot, and I definitely have it this year. And so it is, okay, so what they're saying is, prune off the lowest branches once the plant is established.
Right. Yep.
Avoid wetting the foliage. Mulch to avoid soil splashing up. It's a disease that's soil-borne. Remove infected leaves during the growing season and remove affected plant parts during the end of the season. So that's to remove the disease organism.
Right. That's also removing them off the plant, but also removing them off the ground.
Yes. And it says apply a synthetic fungicide or an organic fungicide according to label directions early in the season when symptoms appear slow to spread.
Yeah.
So, that is totally a personal choice whether you do that or not. If it does get severe, it can reduce your yields.
Right.
And they're saying diseased plant parts can be shredded and composted if hot composted. Hot composting techniques are used. Pile temperatures should exceed 120 degrees and piles should be turned 2 to 3 times. So if you're going to compost that, you do need to make sure and take care of it. Have a well-running compost pile. Okay, so that's one of the common problems.
I had one that I had to coach her on. She's new to growing tomatoes, and I had trouble determining whether she's doing containers or in the ground.
Yeah.
She was asking for a soil test, and I gave that to her right there. But her poor tomato plants, the leaves looked like wet spinach.
Ooh, that's not good.
No, it is not. So, what do we do right here? Well, we try to pin down this problem right here. Okay, when do you water? How
Right.
much do you water? How do you feed your plant? Do you have good airflow around your plant right here, so to help avoid issues like that? Our plants should never touch each other.
And also where you water. So water,
yes,
at the base of the plant, don't water the roots. Yeah.
And
the other thing to know is it's very unlikely this time of year that you're not going to have something going on.
Right.
With your tomato plants. The weather conditions are such that you're probably going to have some sort of yellowing, leaf yellowing, spotting, something going on with your tomato plants.
Yeah. That's not to mention spider mites.
Right. And the reality is it will probably reduce your yields, but it's probably not going to totally eliminate your yields. So another really common one is early blight, which the splotches on it tend to be more angular than the Semptoria leaf spot. And so it will cause the leaves to crinkle and die
Yeah.
eventually. And again, remove the diseased leaves is one of the easiest ways to prevent it from spreading. I always tell people to, when you're removing leaves, start at the top of your plant and go down, so you're not spreading the disease organism up.
Right.
And
Okay. Miss Amy,
yes,
along this very same point right there, people are, I think quite a few people are trying to keep their tomato plants alive until fall. And I'm telling people fall is really the best time for vegetables because you have a longer growing season right here. But with these problems right here, when do you call it quits and just pull it and then replace it when the temperatures come down?
Well, one of the things is, let me look at this, tomato plants. We are really past the time for planting new plants. We're just past it. So if you're planting a variety that the days to fruiting is very short, you might actually get fruit. The guideline is the end planting date for fall tomatoes is July 15th, which is just, 10 days ago. So if you have one that's more on the 50 days to fruiting, you might be okay. So we're getting iffy on whether a new fall planting is going to set fruit for you.
Okay.
Now, if you
And so I just posted in the comments the Tennessee Home fruit and vegetable garden calendar.
yeah, and also put the link to this publication. This is the garden planning publication.
I'm about to get it.
Yeah, so if one of you could post that, that'll give you some really good guidelines about what's good to plant now. Because we're really getting into the season for planting your fall garden, but it really is too late to plant peppers because they're a long season crop. But I think we're still squash. You're still good for a couple more weeks. Not winter squash, but summer squash. And people get confused. Some winter squash grows in the summer, but you eat it in the winter. So it does have to be planted earlier. You don't plant it to grow in the winter. But we're getting into the fall crops. We will be getting into the fall crops pretty soon. They'd say you can still plant cucumber, but I've had a hard time with starting a late summer run of cucumbers. The mine that are producing right now, I actually started probably a month later than I would normally start cucumbers. And so they're still producing. But I personally have not had much luck with a late fall crop. And recently we've had a pest come in. Usually comes in, I think, mid to late August, called pickle worm. And so it has made me not want to plant late cucumbers. It lays its eggs and they bore into the cucumber. And so you have these nice little squishy white caterpillars inside your cucumber. And so when I start seeing those, I start slicing my cucumbers before I eat them.
Yes.
Because honestly, eating the pickle worm would not hurt you, but it is not appetizing. Not pleasant. No, not something I want to do.
Although it is additional protein.
It is additional protein. In some parts of the world, they do have certain caterpillars that they really eat and are considered delicacies. And what is it? I know they are very closely related to shrimp, and I like shrimp, but I just can't get over the hump on that one. Yeah. Well, I think some caterpillars taste better than others, I'm sure. You
I'll
know,
take your word for it.
I have not sampled them. Now, my daughter's leopard gecko really quite enjoys, the cabbage moth caterpillars. Um, but that's a whole different thing. And I am not a leopard gecko. Yeah. Um, so other things, I've been hearing the frogs at night. We finally put out our hummingbird feeder, and we had seen the hummingbirds come and look for the feeder because we put out a hummingbird feeder the past couple years. So if you do put out a hummingbird feeder, you really need to stay on top of keeping it clean and really changing out the sugar water.
Yes.
And the recipe is 1 part sugar to 4 parts water. Though I have heard slightly more concentrated is not a problem, up to 1 part sugar to 3 parts water. So anywhere in that range is fine. You do not need to add red to it, and the coloring isn't that great for the hummingbirds. Also,
Yeah.
you don't want to use organic sugar. You really do want to use just the white sugar.
Right.
Uh, the
And
organic,
not use, I'm sorry, and
go
not use
ahead.
honey.
Don't use honey. Um, both of those have microorganisms things in them that can make them spoil faster.
Yeah.
I think is the issue with that. And there was
Yeah.
something about the organic sugar not having the molasses removed, that the process of removing the molasses makes it safer for the hummingbirds. Don't I don't remember the details on that.
One thing that you were just talking about a minute ago, cleaning.
Yes.
Uh, please, please, please make sure that your honey, your sugar water, um,
Hmm.
is good. As if you let that spoil in the bot and the feeder,
Hmm.
uh, the hummingbirds will reject that and go elsewhere. They won't
Yeah.
give you a second chance.
Hmm. Yeah. And so, but if you have fresh, they will come multiple times a day. And in the past, we've had as many as like 5 hummingbirds swooping around and chasing each other off. And it's really interesting. And they are not very people shy. So you can be sitting like 5 feet from the feeder and sort of watch this dance that they do. And it's really interesting. The
I've
other
had them come right up to my face and flying and buzzing right in front of me, like about
Yep.
6 inches away.
Wow. Yeah. So they're just fascinating to watch.
Yeah.
But so I
Okay.
just noticed it's 10 o'clock, and
Howie.
I know it's gone fast today. Hope everyone's doing well and has a good week in your garden. Be sure to take care of yourself with the heat. And also, what is it? Watch your rainfall. I know at my house we have 2 days this coming week that there's rain predicted. But when I looked at the amount that's predicted, it's, I think, slightly over 1/10 of an inch is predicted for those 2 days. And so I am going to be dragging my hose out
Yeah.
and getting things watered. Last year, I think I only pulled my hose out once, like right after I planted my seedlings.
Right.
But
Yeah.
this year has been a very different year. So every year is different, and as gardeners, we walk through it and adjust. Well, happy gardening, everyone, and
Yes.
we will see you all next week. See you. What is it? You can find Brian at Dixie Lee Farmers Market
Yes.
today,
Yes.
Pavilion Farmers Market on Thursday, and Tellico Village on Wednesday.
Right.
So
And
he is,
Pavilion Farmers Market on Thursday.
yeah, Pavilion Farmers Market on Thursday. So
Yeah.
if you have any questions for him, you can go do that. But we'll see you later. Have a great
Yeah.
week. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay.